Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the recently re-released White-Freightliner dual drive truck tractor. It's a 125 scale kit from AMT, model kit number A620. It's an older kit that's seen multiple box arts over the years, but it's still widely available. It's a popular kit for AMT, consisting of over 200 parts, molded in white, chrome, clear, clear yellow, clear red vinyl tires, and also includes a piece of rubber hose and metal axles. The water slide decals have been updated a little bit for this version, and as this kit has some age on it, you'll need to do some extra cleanup of the parts and some fit issues to take care of. But the molding is not always real crisp, and not everything has positive attachments. But with a little work, she can turn out to be a really nice looking kit. The build-up is straightforward with the engine, chassis, interior, and body, and overall dimensions are length 9.5 inches, width 5 inches, and height 6 3/4 inches. Here are the contents of this kit, and as you can see, the parts are all laid out in a visual fashion, much as an open boxing or what some people would call an open box review. But instead of picking up each part and trying to describe it, if I could find the words, that won't help you put the kit together. So we're going to do that, and here's my open box review in 10 seconds. Now remember to follow the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines when seeing or using any of the products that you see here in the review. Here are the decals for this kit. As you can see, they're very colorful and the registry is very good. Now there are 3 different contrasting color stripes for just about any color combination that you want to choose. You might want to consider, for the larger ones especially, using some of the setting solutions that are available in the aftermarket to help the stripes fit the contours and stick well to the body. But you'll also note that we're going to use Model Master liquid cement, sometimes super glue for strength, and white glue for clear parts. Gather up these pieces as construction starts with the motor, and assemble the block, the oil pan, dipstick, front cover, water outlet, oil line, and filter, and also the fuel filter and the air cleaner, and they're set aside. Now paint this batch tan color and assemble the transmission, both oil coolers, fuel pump and line, and the air compressor. Then also the intake manifold, exhaust manifold, and water manifold. Now this batch is painted aluminum and steel, and the final parts are painted flat black in this last picture here. Now assemble the motor per the instructions, and remember to add the chrome pieces here too, and finish off the motor, and she looks pretty nice. Here's the flip side so that you can see the location of the starter, etc. on the right side of the engine. Get these parts out of the kit to assemble the wheels. Now the front rims, you'll need to assemble the trim ring to the rim, and then paint the inner hub area of the color of the cab that you're going to paint, and install the tire. And for the rear rims, paint the inner rims aluminum, and then add the trim ring, and add a trim ring to the chrome rim, and then paint the hub aluminum. The brake is flat black, and pick a hub cover and install the tires. Then glue the inner and outer rims together. I use some super glue here for an instant adhesion and to make sure that they are put into place properly. Then install the brake, hub, and the hub cover. Now we'll need these parts to assemble the chassis, and we can assemble the entire thing prior to painting. So put the rear axles together and install the springs to the rails, and then add all the cross members in place, one rail at a time, and then add the other rail next, and then install the axles and the front suspension parts, and paint the whole unit and add the chrome tanks last. Gather these parts for the rear end, and then on the rear panel add all of the tail lights and the marker lights, and then paint the backing plates flat black and add the brake boosters. Then install those onto the axles. The metal axles are then inserted into one set of tires and installed into the axle positions, and then the other tires are popped onto the other side and pressed together. Now pull these pieces and assemblies out for the front end, and the front backing plates, brakes, and pins are assembled and painted flat black. Then add the brake boosters, Now the steering box, pitman arm, and drag link are flat black, and they're assembled, and then add the tires into place. As you can see, we've got a pretty quick build-up. The frame was pretty straight once constructed on something flat, and so she goes together pretty quickly. And as you can see, you have a rolling chassis here on which to build the rest of your model. We'll be using these pieces to finish the chassis assembly. So the fuel tanks are assembled and painted red with some bare metal foil type straps for emphasis. And then the toolbox is red, and the front fenders are aluminum while the flaps are flat black. Now the fifth wheel is flat black, and so is the shift linkage. Then the mounts and the brackets also flat black, and the radiator hoses as well. Now paint the other parts as needed, and assembly will be done in a front to back method to get all the parts in place in the right positions. At this point, install the motor on the frame mounts, and then the tanks and the outer frame attachments first. Then the toolbox, the lube refiner, the tilt pump, the shift linkage unit, drive shaft, and radiator. Then I worked my way back, installing the exhaust and the smaller parts under the frame. Lastly, I installed the fifth wheel and the flaps and the fenders back there. Now grab these parts to assemble the interior, and you'll note here that as I'm showing you, if you install the bed, it's pretty hard to get the cab onto the interior tub. It just seems to be too big. It's like this is not the sleeper cab body that should be used for this bed. But anyway, I couldn't get it into position. Maybe some of you have figured out how to do this, but I couldn't get it there, so I left that out. Now paint the interior the color of your choice, and I used a tan with a flat black floor, and detail the trim with some silver sharpies, etc. The driver's seat springs are flat black with aluminum, and the passenger seat legs are metal. Now the dash needs to be detailed and installed. I simply used some medium brown paint to simulate the wood tones, and I used a silver Sharpie against some flat black gauge impressions to make it look like instrumentation there. So assemble the interior, install the seats into position, and then add the dash or the column and the steering wheel to the dash, and put the dash into position on the sidewalls. Now you can assemble the body, and it comes in multiple parts, and note that there's a parting line through the center of the body that's difficult to fix without destroying the fine details of the rivet work that it runs through. So that's going to be a difficult fix, so you'll have to take some time and carefully work with that with scrapers and sanding to make that happen. To try and preserve the details of the rivets and the panel lines on the cab, I used a green scuff pad to kind of rough up the body to prepare it for paint, cleaning it with that, and then I used a good quality primer and coated the inside and outside of the cab. So once the primer was dried, I used the scuff pad again to prepare it for paint, rinsed it off and let it air dry, and then I used a red base for a construction type cab. So go ahead and paint your cab inside and out for preparation for decals. Because of the panel lines and rivets, I strongly suggest that you use some of the aftermarket setting solutions to apply to the decals to get them to settle into the contours and stick to the body. So go ahead and add the color decals of your choice against your body. Pick a contrasting color and apply those at this time. Once those are dry overnight, go ahead and give the body your clear coat to seal in the decals. I used some of the Pledge floor wax liquid form to dip the window in to get it look thinner and clearer, and I painted the console tan. Then installed them into the cab, and then used a little white glue to keep those into place. Now it's time to install the interior tub into the body by carefully sliding it straight into the cab. It should fit there, and use some contact areas to put a little dab of glue to keep it in place. Now we'll gather these pieces to assemble the body chrome work and some of the lenses. And I used a black wash. It's called New Land Oil by Citadel for the grill to highlight the recesses there. And then slowly, using some super glue, work your way around the cab, installing the chrome parts in place on the cab where they go, and make sure that you scrape off any chrome on your glue joints so that it adheres properly. In the location of these yellow arrows, you'll find that the cab snaps onto the two pins on the grill on the frame so that it can tilt. And here's a nice view from the rear to show how the rear of the cab looks when your model is completely finished. You won't have too many pieces left, mostly decals that you don't use for your choices, and some of the lenses that aren't actually used on this model that must be left over from various versions of the kit. Well, there you have it. There's your final kit model on the shelf, and this kit's been around for years. Seen many releases with different decal versions, and the molds are pretty well used, so the overall condition of them is not too bad. The frame was straight, and the flash on the parts was manageable, nothing that a little sanding stick and a hobby knife won't take care of. Now, the multi-part cabs are sometimes difficult to assemble, and there's no way to repair it without working on the whole thing. So that being said, she still goes together fairly well, and if you take some time and test fit everything, it's a gorgeous example of the White-Freightliner truck cab. So if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. We hope you like this premium scale model kit review from Right On Replicas, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, you can find us on Facebook and on our website, www.rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.